Good morning and welcome to The Weekender. In this week's episode, we have some special guests. The guys from 4Ground are over, and we have some amazing prizes up for grabs. So, for your chance to win one of 2 copies of Armies and Legions and Hordes, get your comments in on this video, make sure to subscribe, like the video, and don't forget, ding our dong. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to The Weekender. As you can see, I am joined by Ben from 4Ground, Kat from 4Ground,
Hello.
Jerry, and our very own Ben.
Bertie.
Hello.
Hello. So it's the Ben. Sorry, because Cad's really...
Cad really is a Ben.
But he's bigger than he was.
Jerry
when he was
forgot
little.
to say Jerry, didn't he?
Ben and Jerry.
Ben and Jerry.
Scream!
You scream. We all scream for ice cream.
I don't scream for ice cream, I just lick it.
We're actually quiet now for the first time in like 2 hours because we've been talking rubbish.
We have been hurting the cats.
Although Jerry and I have noticed that we're going for different kinds of beard. I'm going for the remains of colour and the grey bits on the outside, and Jerry's
Which I'm
just going
rocking,
down for badger.
Just the badgers on it.
Oh, hang on. What about... Oh, wait, no, mine's
Badger's
too small and
backside.
insignificant.
You're just look a bit...
It's small and insignificant.
That's really
and
unfair, Justin. How often have you heard that yours is small and insignificant?
Welcome to the show. Good morning, everybody.
Sorry.
Right.
Hello.
First thing to take care of in the show is a bit of an update from you guys as to what's coming out soon from 4Ground and what we have been filming while you've been over.
Yeah, Justin and Jerry have had to put up with us for almost a week.
I've loved it. No, Big Ben, great cuddler.
Me, not so much.
I've been teaching Lloyd about man hugs and everything else. Yeah, it's been great.
Well, first, as soon as
He's
you guys are
still
through the door, it's
shaking.
that big bear hug, and I just love it.
And Jerry and I have been Velcroing while we played with our Zulus.
It's been a delight.
It has actually. We had the funniest thing is just we played the big game with lots of people, and that took 6 hours.
6 hours. Yeah.
And then Jerry and I were just having another playthrough, and that took us a little bit more because some of it was on.
Yeah, there was about 3 hours on the Monday night.
Yeah.
And then about 3.5, 4 on the Tuesday morning.
And I know this is going to sound silly, but genuinely we had fun all the way through, didn't we?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had to. We were stopping to take photographs as well.
Stop
But
and make up new
that
rules.
was off work time, you know.
Oh, you mean what did we do work-wise here this week?
Yes, that's what everybody wants to know. What new stuff from 4Ground will we be seeing on camera soon?
Who's going to go first, Cad?
Well, should we do this one?
Let's do Andy.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one has me excited. So you guys are doing some gorgeous Gothic cathedral ruins.
Yes.
Yeah, so
With proper stained glass windows. Look at them! Look at them!
yeah, that is one of the prototypes. So it looks like there might be 3 available at Salute, 3 different designs.
But could I just say that one will actually, he's done it, Andy has made that so you can actually make 16 different variations with
that's
that.
clever.
And then you also get the tile sections with it. And then when I was sort of like pimping around with it and wanting to do different things, I actually decided that it really needed some of the rubble in it. And I know later on this year, we're hoping to go back to the Second World War new buildings, and we think we'll definitely be putting rubble in that. And I think John actually said that he fancies, putting one together, spraying it up, because I love it when people actually do more to the kit than they actually get. So,
well, I mean, like it's one misconception people have with the 4Ground stuff is that once it's built, it's done.
yeah, but
You can do as much as you want.
I never mention any,
Or as little.
Yeah, I never mention any stained glass windows because Cad made them.
And it does come with the stained glass windows. It comes with the rubble and all the bits you see. So the idea is that when you glue it together, like a lot of our other stuff, it'll look exactly like this.
See, I like having that, and I love the fact that you can actually take these stained glass windows and just rough them up and damage them as much as you want.
Yeah. And yeah, it's quite fun.
Then if I can just show you on but you see the little piece that comes out here, he said, that little piece there, that's designed so that when you get another one next to it, you could literally slot them all together and put them together.
You boys are a little bit too clever for me.
I don't know if it's clever or just insane.
Well, if we pop that one out of the way, because we have other stuff that you guys have been working on. We have this. This I love. So this
is Jorg's from Things from the Basement. And this is his, I don't know whether you would call it a shrine or a tea house, but it's beautiful. we with regard the fluted card, we actually had to get the equivalent of a pallet load of this stuff made for us. But we're so glad we've done it now because you can, you guys are here and you can see that with regard to the tiled roof, it looks really good. Would you like me to put the roof on so it looks like?
I'll just do the roof on its own.
Yeah. So I really like that, and I think talking to we're in talks with other designers, as you know, Battle Kiwi and that sort of thing about being there like agents and producing their product.
Yeah.
I know that Jorg has probably the best. For me, he has a brilliant idea. He is going to carry on with his Kickstarters, and he's got I think it's an Italian-esque one coming out, Spanish-y Italian-esque one coming out within the month. So
that could be interesting.
I'll give you guys the heads up when that happens, so you can link through.
Yeah.
And so he's going to still do his Kickstarter. Then after his Kickstarters, he's going to make all of those kits available through 4Ground retailers, pre-coloured as well, and I think that's the way he plans to carry on. So can you just brief?
I am liking the idea that designers can come to you and just say, right, so I have some wonderful designs. I'd like you guys to produce them, and you can turn around and go, well, we can do those in colour for you if you like.
Well, the funniest thing about that was actually, about being their agent at no cost is because we're not really agents. We just chat to people.
Yeah.
I mean, like Jerry, you were looking for a rule system. You were looking for a Pavlov's house, weren't you?
Pavlov's house, yeah.
And I said, I know a man who's just sent me the files on those, and that was Jorg again from Things from the Basement. And so yes, it's going to be very good. We're in talks with Crooked Dice about some sci-fi near future vehicles. Actually, they've started being produced, and a few other people that we're working on at the moment. And it's nice now because although I've actually got a chance to do a bit more designing myself, for a long time I felt that all I'm doing is a job and not being crazy burnt wood person.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, the other thing you've done is...
this is Kev's micro-scale ruins.
Yeah, now these I like the idea of, because while we were over, you and me have actually sat down and played a game of Titanicus.
Yes.
Don't give away the result.
No.
But these are gorgeous because you
Things did go boom.
They did. But we can actually take these and use them with the micro-scale buildings you've already done to give them like ruined tops and stuff, and just like buildings that are down to the foundation for your Titans to walk through. In fact, we have a Titan there. Pass one here just to show the scale of this.
Well, and it actually includes some of the pieces for its facing. These little tiny bits.
Throw it in for you, sir.
So yes, you've actually added some of these to the base of your Titan.
Yep. To give it that sense of scale as well.
who did you get the nameplate from?
I was about to ask.
That was from Versatile Terrain. They do custom nameplates, so they're really nice.
So hang on, I can name my Titan whatever I want.
You can.
Okay, I'm going to name a Titan Bob.
Yeah, not Justinian then.
No, that's going to be the Legion.
The Legio Justinian.
Of course.
Yeah, just
I always
'cause I'm
thought
that
you were bigger than
narcissistic.
just one mech.
So yeah, the terrain's really nice for scatter terrain.
Yeah.
A lot
Lower
of
Whenever you
level
actually
as well.
Put one onto it, you can
sorry.
actually see it as if it had just ran right through the building.
Yeah, and the other thing that helps in the game is, although it uses true line of sight, it's going back to kind of the older style of Games Workshop, where if it's 25% covered, it's -1 to hit, 50% covered, it's -2 to hit.
Yep.
So having these buildings, it's not just, there are windows there, I can shoot him maybe. It's now, I can see 25% of him because of the windows, therefore you get -1 to hit.
Yep.
Which in our game was really nice because some of the other micro-scale buildings that we've done have got arches and things like that in them.
Well, yeah, you were looking for every angle you could to try and hit my engines.
He
That
does
just sounds like I was trying to win.
He does that.
Seems valid to me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nothing wrong with that. But it's lovely to see you guys expanding the terrain range to include multiple scales and multiple systems, and actually seeing more Gothic stuff makes me happy because I love the work you do.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, another thing that I've really enjoyed is because we've turned a little bit with, I knew Jerry wanted to do Rorke's Drift, and that was a while ago, wasn't it?
I did want to do that.
Years, I think, is the correct phrase to use.
We don't want to mention Roman forts then.
No, Andy's might be watching.
Hi, Andy.
No. So
Every time it's mentioned, it gets pushed back.
So we have a new
Reset the clock.
we have a new where we have a new piece now that we're doing with you guys, which is what I really want is a laser kit design for me.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what I want.
I know what you want.
Yeah, what I really, really want
What you really, really want.
is a laser cut design.
This is ziggy.
A ziggurat, yeah. So we've gone ahead now with Jerry. You're having the first one, which is a Rorke's Drift.
Yes.
With all the current information that we now have since about 2014, when the
Not pushing Andy back further.
All-
Is it not
all-
Jerry?
all Ben's-
Then Justin.
By the way, there's more.
Then anybody
but
else.
this is very,
turns
very
up.
interesting. You see, because then I said, but obviously Andy Zek would have to be the next one with his
Yes.
Roman fort, and then for some reason we got the schedule, and it seemed to be Justin
Justin had slipped himself in there
with his
the meat and an Andy and Jerry
Yeah,
sandwich.
would you like to tell them what you're actually looking for, Justin?
Well, we do have a full series that's going to come out on this, but just as a little bit of a tease, anyone who remembers my faction from the
Daughters
Fabled
of
Realms,
Gaia,
yeah,
I
the
think
Fabled
they were.
Realms boot camp. I did
Amazons
the
from
all-female.
Scandinavia.
Yes, so I did sort of Scandinavian all-female warband, and yeah, I kind of wanted like a a little foresty temple type thing for them, and a bit of a Nordic style to it. So I'm currently researching, and I will be plaguing Big Ben.
You should look
lot.
for. It's a wooden church or wooden cathedral in Norway.
Yeah, I know the one.
Yeah,
The one
yeah, with all the wooden
because
tiling.
it has
And it just goes up.
Yeah, and it has the
Looks
pagan
amazing.
finials, kind of like
Yeah.
dragons on the end. So it's done in quite the traditional style, but it's definitely a Christian church. Stave churches, I think that's
Yeah.
the word I'm looking for. I'm
That's
probably
the one.
wrong. and
I'm sorry,
people
but
will
these
tell me.
ladies ain't Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
You have no idea until you see this building.
Okay, all right. Well, send me the link.
And then after that, we're going to chat with Andy
Yeah.
about his Roman
I thought you were going
fort.
to talk to Commodore Rob about his Roman fort.
I had 15 minutes.
6 million.
No,
Thanks,
no.
Roman Fort. Would you not be like yay tall?
I feel sorry. I do actually feel really sorry. Even though Andy's a dentist, I do feel genuinely sorry for him. Although and I don't like dentists.
He did say you remind him of Laurence Olivier in Marathon Man.
No. He didn't say I did. What? No, I think he reminds me. Yes, I never said that, Andy. I never said that.
I thought all
Said that.
dentists remind
Do
you.
you want this to be painful or more painful? No, sorry. Without pain.
What we're going to be doing with this is, so yeah, you're going to be working with myself and Jerry first for the pilot episodes of this.
Yeah.
But the third one is going to most likely be with Andy.
Yeah, I'm going to drag him over to us.
Yeah, and
I'll get Gaz to.
Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to get some interviews of the stages of designing your dream piece of terrain. Now, Jerry and Ben have both done a video introducing the entire series, so keep your eyes peeled for that.
Good luck, editors.
They've also filmed Jerry's stage 2 for Rorke's Drift, because we've already essentially done the stage 1, me and you did.
Yeah, we did.
And we
That was
filmed
before we
myself
decided
and
it
Ben's
was gonna be
stage
a-
1.
Was that when we played the joke on Warren that it was a 5-hour video?
Yes, and he went, wait, what?
That was funny.
By
By the time they've cut it
seeing
down,
his
it's
face,
15
I
minutes.
thought he was going to explode just a little bit.
That's so funny. That was so
But yeah,
funny.
so
yeah.
lots of cool stuff coming from 4Ground in the future. Ben, our Ben, Beast of War Ben, is there a terrain that you would maybe want made by 4Ground? Any ideas?
Oh, I don't know.
Say
I'd
Battle
love to have- I'd love
Kiwi.
to have something done a little bit for, because I'm getting into Rangers of Shadow Deep at the moment. So maybe some
Oh,
kind
yes.
of castle structure could be pretty awesome.
Yeah,
something
that's
like
good.
that. That'd be pretty cool. Or some catacombs or something. That could be good.
Okay, so it's Jerry, me, Ben, Andy. I kid.
I thought you were talking about what's the next designer we're working with. You know, we're just finalising things now with the Battle Kiwi
Oh,
to
yeah,
be
yeah.
able to.
They do some lovely stuff.
And it means, again, that you will be able to get their stuff from not just New Zealand,
Yeah,
but from
so-
any
so-
retailer of 4Ground products will actually carry them.
Yeah.
So ask, if you know that 4Ground's doing something and your local retailer doesn't have it, then please ask, because we have very good distributor coverage with our distributor partners throughout the known world.
That'd be interesting because there's some spectacular
Don't start
designers
me.
out there.
Oh, yeah, there are.
And the likes of Knights
what
of
about
Dice.
CNC Workshop?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
I
and
would
Knights
like-
of Dice in Australia and Battle Kiwi in New
Yeah.
Zealand. And you look at
And
your
Laser Cut Card in South Africa, there's brilliant people I'd love to work with.
But whenever you actually look at what you would be getting through the post, it is essentially a block of wood.
Yeah.
And that's not cheap.
No.
You know?
No, and it's
Especially if it's coming from as far away as like New Zealand
Yeah.
or South Africa.
yeah. I mean, the biggest problem I think sometimes people have is, I mean, we've had to go to the expense of getting more machines, employing more people, training
Terrible.
people up,
Shocking.
and all that
problems to
kind
have.
of thing. And so, you know,
I didn't know you've met Luke.
Oh no,
I like Luke.
quite a
He's
good friend of
cuddly.
his. We try and keep him away from places that actually sell alcohol. Of course, with Jerry, it's totally pointless.
We agreed
But
never to
other-
talk about that again.
Other than that, yes, they have a good relationship
What happens
with
at
each other.
Salute stays at
Yeah.
Salute.
Well, as Luke would say, 20 quid is
20 quid.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So there's lots of people with really good design. I can even think of Iron Mammoth as well. There's who's a lecturer, I believe.
Blacksite Studios.
Blacksite Studios. I like those in America.
You've got the guys from Black Spiral who do the gorgeous dice towers.
There's
I love.
loads of really good designers out there, and the thing is, they don't even have to be, have to have a portfolio, if you like, at the moment. They just have to be, we can, as long as we know they have the skill.
Soap Dodger.
Sorry, you calling me something that I just remembered last night? You were last night when you called me.
Soap Dodger on the site has done some tremendous stuff in laser cut that he does for himself. So like Infinity, and he's popped up on some of the 4Ground terrain challenges.
I remember.
He's even there was like a shell of a building that you could put your own sort of wooden planks and stuff on for post-apocalyptic. So you actually built the structure and then went, what do I want on fronting these?
Yeah.
And the amount of people looking at it going, I really want that.
Yeah.
Soap Dodger.
Anyway, that's the latest stage that we've gone through. With the 3D printing technology that we're working with at the moment, we hope at Salute to be able to show people where traditional sculptors have sculpted something, and then we'll be able to show what we then scan that to create the file.
Yep.
And then from that, they will then get their original back, they get their computer file back. And I think I'm right in saying, Cad, we would even actually plate set it, because I know you guys have been talking about plate setting with 3D printers, because you've just got into this.
Warren has got into it, and I've been kind of dragged along by the armpits into it. But I'm enjoying
one of them, Justin. Who's going to man it, Warren? So we're doing that, and that's interesting because we're working now with guys because like me, I mean, I started off. I do 2D design. I still do 2D design. I still visualize a lot of it in my own head. Kev and Andy were taught the same way. And that's really, really helpful. But I know now that there are an awful lot of really good designers out there who can still sculpt in the same way they always have. And they've got these tools in front of them, their hands, to be able to sculpt. But then this latest job, they have to be able to do it as a file that can be sent to somebody. And hopefully by us offering this facility, it means that, because it's not quite your £2 scanning kind of on your phone kind of thing that's going on. So hopefully they'll be have a happy representation.
And then Justin can know everyone has a piece of tackle.
Nice.
I'm not talking about this. I'm not entering into your under
below the belt conversation.
Yes.
All right. Here's one for you, Ben. I'm actually quite curious about this, because if you're taking a traditional
Is he
sculpted
going under
model,
the belt again? Because I refuse to.
if you're taking a traditional sculpted model, scanning it into essentially an STL file, can you then make regular adjustments from an editing program after that?
So once it's come in, depending on the program that you use, the thing is, the only trouble is then if they want to make adjustments to it, is you're talking about then getting another sculptor, a 3D sculptor involved.
Yeah, to actually use it in ZBrush or whatever.
Push it around. And also the other thing is that we still recommend the 3-up. So you know how the original 3-up was made, and then they used the little pantograph thing to actually sort of route it out with a Well, it's the same for scanning.
It could enable you to engineer it. So when a model gets engineered, that's when it's cut down, so it can go in molds and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
we can do that.
You can do the engineering side, but
once you remove something that was never made, and the void there, it won't look like the. So what we say is, you know how a plastic set is made. Yeah. You can do that sometimes, can't you? Where the arms can go onto.
It's like a jigsaw.
Yeah, you merge it a bit more. Otherwise, you can sometimes end up with really bulky shoulders.
Well, it's one of the reasons why the old Space Marines were very
just across the body.
All of them had that.
Don't rubbish anything that I cherish, please.
I love the old Space Marines.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with them.
Beakies.
Beakies.
Yeah.
God
Was
bless
it
them.
Nothing wrong with them.
RB01?
Our beak. Yeah. Rogue Trader
They've been
box.
teasing me.
RTV.
We actually
RTV.
found out Jerry is a great translator for myself on CAD because that you're pretty much
I speak
equidistant in age group between the two.
I speak fluent nerd in both
So
directions.
he actually speaks in the true language of the nerd and the corrupted modern version.
And by modern, we mean people post mid-30s.
Yeah. no.
People who
Modern-
go and get a job for Games Workshop, and when they're asked, "Oh, what is the most recent Games Workshop game you played?" This is years ago, and Cad said, "Dark Future," wasn't it? At the time?
Yeah, I played it that weekend.
And they said, "We
they
don't
were-
have a game."
Yeah.
And the area manager said,
"What is the game you've played most recently that's made by Games Workshop?" Dark Future. I played it that weekend.
"Because my dad's a Sado."
And the local manager went,
great
"We
game.
don't make a game called Dark Future," and the area manager did have to correct him.
What's Speed Freaks like? I haven't actually looked into Speed
It's
Freaks.
actually not bad.
bad.
There's some nice models in it, and a decent rule set that you can have some laughs with.
I really want to
Think of a stripped down version of Gaslands.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Yeah.
I really want to. I really want to play Rogue Trader.
Yes.
The original.
No. I can play the original anytime I like, but the new box.
Oh, there's a new box. Okay.
What's the
I
new
missed
box?
this.
Kill Team Rogue Trader.
Kill Team Rogue
Yes,
Trader.
now I understand what you're on about.
And
yes.
yeah, sorry.
Ben, you have a box sitting out there.
Yeah, I know you do.
It's the last one.
No,
That and the one
but
behind
the thing
it.
is that it's all very well
We've only got
known.
one left.
The trouble with
On the
young
shelf.
children
Yeah.
these days
Well,
is
it's in
they
the
don't
shelf.
know what it was like in the old days. I do know what it was like in the old days, and I don't want to know it's been corrupted. But having said that, this game here is absolutely fantastic.
really enjoyed
We're really enjoying it, aren't we? Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like after playing against CAD, I have went out and just went, okay, give me the battle grip.
Yeah, I'd hate to think it got overloaded though in the future because
No.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Moving on.
yes, moving on.
you
So,
start this
we actually
I'm
have
blameless.
now. Our Ben has been quiet for quite some time. So Ben, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll let you talk because we have our first feature. So myself and John have sat down with Dave Taylor because his new book, Armies and Legions and Hordes, is about to
lovely
hit
book.
retail. So
Well done, dude.
we'll be right back.
And check out the John.
Hey everybody, I am joined in the studio by John and Dave Taylor himself, the master, the mighty, the man who wrote Armies and Legions and Hordes.
Yep.
So, what are we here to talk about?
Well, we're here to talk about
Armies and Legions and Hordes.
funny that we're here to talk about the book, this amazing book.
Yes.
But Dave has some news for us that I think he should be allowed to say because it's his book.
Okay,
So-
Dave?
Oh,
What's the news?
is this the news about giving away a couple of copies of it?
Well, that's a kind of news, and I will take that kind of news every day of the week.
Fantastic. No, there's been lots of great support from the Beasts of War OnTableTop community. So, I thought I would offer up a couple of copies of Armies and Legions and Hordes to go out to somebody who randomly comments on this video, I guess.
Awesome.
Is that the way we usually do it?
Sort of.
More or less right.
Sorta.
I'm sure we'll clarify that.
Warren will sort it at the start of this video.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, Dave, a few questions that spring to mind for me then. So you ran a Kickstarter campaign to create this book. How did you find the experience of working through a Kickstarter campaign?
It was pretty amazing, honestly. I went into this. I wanted to create a book that didn't exist in the marketplace at all. A book about helping people with their project management for painting toy soldiers, really. So there's a lot of great books out there, and there's a lot of great videos and Patreon accounts and that sort of thing for people who are teaching people how to paint. But there's not a lot that talks about how to sustain it across a whole army. So I wanted to do that kind of thing. I had no idea what sort of response I'd get. So I talked to a lot of people before the campaign. When the campaign started, things went gangbusters and all funded very quickly, and then just continued to grow over the course of the month of the campaign. So it was that classic trope of a roller coaster ride of emotions. Something you pick up in the morning, you go, "Wow, this is fantastic! Oh, something's gone wrong! Oh, this is fantastic again!" So it was a lot of fun, and but it really, at the end of it, I was very excited to get started on the book, and get to work on it. So I'm going to thank all of my backers for that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Words, John?
Huh? Yeah, words. Sorry. I'm just every time I talk to Dave, I'm just a little starstruck. Right? Just shut up.
Okay.
So the next question I want to pose then is, how was the writing and creative process? Now I know you coordinated with a lot of other people that contributed to the book. Was that like herding cats at all, Dave, or how did you find the actual putting together of all the creative writing part?
To be honest, it wasn't too tough because, as you say, I had a few other people involved. One of them was yourself.
It was.
Thank you very much. So it's funny that you couldn't use the words to talk, but you were able to write some wonderful inspiration. So no, I think I picked a good group of people. So it was yourself, there's a buddy of mine, Joel Moon, who wrote a piece on planning. My friend Ash Barker wrote a piece on aims, and also Mel Bowes, another mate of mine, the terrain tutor.
Yes.
Wrote a great piece on terrain collections. So getting material from you four guys was not tough at all. The thing that I found hardest was actually the front section of the book. I've got about 50 pages that goes through talking about inspiration, aims, expectations, plan, motivation, and triumph are the things that I did. I did a bit of a tester for this a couple of years ago now. I guess 18, 20 months ago. Actually, on the Beast of War site, I wrote an article series. So I had a lot of points sort of ready to go, but I became very worried that I wasn't stringing them together well enough. Mm-hmm. So that was the section that I wrote, I rewrote. I sat down and talked to my editor about it, and we went through ideas to make sure it did flow very well and show that while everything was interconnected, it was important to reference each piece separately as well. So for me, that was the toughest part. Everything else, all the features, or if you're looking at the book as like a project management book, they're kind of case studies. Each of those case studies was a lot easier to write for me because it was 6 or 8 pages or 10 pages on a particular feature where I could focus it back to either inspiration or to motivation or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dave, one thing I'm curious about is the production aspect of it, because it's great whenever you've got everything's being created, you know, all the backers are jumping in going, this looks amazing, but eventually you have to get down to brass tacks and actually create a physical product. Mm-hmm. So what was that experience like?
That was it was pretty crazy. I will admit. I've been working in with print sort of products for a long time. In that I've been able to create the files that then go off to be printed, but most of those there's been somebody else that I've been working with that has handled that section of it. Mm-hmm. So because I was working with it on such an important project to me, it was very interesting. There are a few surprises. There are things that I wasn't expecting, but on the whole, I mean, the printers that I worked with in Lithuania were fantastic. I knew that they were going to create a quality product. They're the same folks who do the printing, I think, for the Flames of War books. So I know that the quality was going to be great. It was just there are a few things along the way that I sort of hadn't expected, I guess. So something like the slipcase covers, for example. Yeah. I originally had a plan for how much they were going to cost. It turned out they were more expensive than I was expecting. Mm-hmm. And they took it's one of those things you can project how thick a book is going to be. The printers can do that because they print a lot of stuff. Yeah. And so they plan for the size of the slipcase because obviously the book has to slide into the slipcase. Yes. I mean, until you have the actual book finished and bound, you can't be certain. Mm. So the slipcase printing, which I assumed would happen at the same time as the book printing, was actually occurred after the books were printed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it slowed the ability to sort of ship out to to all the backers. It was just a delay that I wasn't expecting, but yeah, I'm super happy with how the slipcases came out. And
it is gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's very definitely the book that I wanted to that I imagined holding when I first started the project. So
no, when it arrived here and I seen the slipcase, I was like, oh, I didn't know that it was coming with this, but yeah, this is gorgeous.
Well, I mean, like I remember you opening that box, John, and there was such a little, just here.
I immediately skipped to my section and read it.
Yeah, well, you took a moment to find it though, because you were like, where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Am I here? Am I here?
I was blown away that I hadn't seen all the names that had been involved.
Yeah.
I mean, particularly the foreword from Dan Abnett. I mean, that was a gorgeous little start to the book. That was amazing. Yep. And I felt really awkward that my name was in amongst all these big names as like Terrain Shooter and Dan Abnett and stuff. And I was sat there going, I'm not sure about this anymore.
What, do you think someone's going to pick up the book and go, it's lovely stuff, but who the hell's this John Lyons guy?
Who the hell's this John guy? Whatever.
Can't write both class. No, it was absolutely fine. It was very cool. I've known Dan now for about 20 years since I started working on armies based on the very first Gaunt's Ghost stories. We met at a games day one year, and we've just sort of been talking very infrequently, sort of every now and again. And yeah, when I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a book where 30, 40 pages of it are going to be armies based on all of the Gaunt's Ghost stories.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll hit up Dan and see if he'd be interested in writing the foreword for it. And his response was, Dave, I have a policy. I don't promote Kickstarters. I don't back Kickstarters. I don't have anything to do with Kickstarters. And I was like, oh. So I thought about it. It's like, well, actually, the cool part would just be having the foreword in there. So I don't need to use it as a promotional tool. I don't need to go, hey, everybody, go and back Dave's Kickstarter. It was just, so I was able to say, actually, imagine the book isn't going to Kickstarter. If this fails and I never release it, nobody will ever need to have known that you had anything to do with it. So, so Dan was like, oh, okay, in that case, that sounds fine.
Yeah. So
and he just wrote a fantastic foreword for me, so I was stoked with that.
Dan is one of my favorite writers from Black Library. Gaunt's Ghost was one of the first novel series I actually dove into to get into the 40k universe. Larkin, I still love you, man.
Yep, absolutely.
So, obviously, because this was like your first big production thing that went through Kickstarter and that sort of stuff, the lessons you learned during the production of that, are you going to be able to apply those to something in the future, perhaps?
Actually, yeah. I think I've become during the process, the whole thing has been very exciting, interesting. I've learned a lot of things that along the way, and I'd really like. It'd be kind of a waste if I didn't go back and apply them to future projects. So I'm really excited to do that, and there's part of me that at some point is like, maybe you should just become a publisher, Dave. Work with other people and other people who do fantastic stuff in the miniature wargaming hobby, and create books with them and see how that goes. So it's so the success of this project has come to a point where it's like, okay, well, maybe I can try something different and have a lot of fun working on projects with other people. So yeah, I have a few thoughts. I'm talking to a few different people about some projects. But the big one that we've got, it's the first one that's going to sort of hit the world, is coming up in a few weeks. I think about 2.5, 3 weeks. We're going to do launch another Kickstarter campaign. I won't talk about it too much because I think Mel is coming to see you guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I don't want to steal all of Mel's thunder.
Why do I get the feeling Warren has been making plans with Mel, and we're just going to find out whenever he turns up the studio and goes, "Hi guys, let's film."
I didn't surprise you. I hope not. So Mel Bowe's the terrain tutor. I've known Mel for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I love about Mel's approach to terrain building is he is always willing to experiment, to try things out. And it's not just, okay, I'm going to do this one way, and if it works, great, I'm going to stop at that point, and I'm just going to use this as my method. He'll experiment and he'll try like 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 different ways to do something until he finds the pros and cons for all of them. So him being able to take his experience in terrain building, he's been doing it for a long time. Long time. Terrain. I mean, he's doing the Terrain Tutor YouTube channel for about 5 years now, but he's been building terrain for 40. So to work with him and create a really cool book, we're going to call it Terrain Essentials.
Cool.
So it'd be a nice sort of core volume with all the. It'd be like we're talking about it. It's really like a workbench book. So you have it to the side there if you're working on some terrain, sort of modeling, and you're like, oh, what should I do here? You have a quick flick over, check out the way that Mel's approached it, and move on from there. So pretty excited about that. It's gonna be very cool.
It sounds really, really useful. I mean, like the number of times I've been working on a bit of a project and I've hit like a roadblock where I need to do something, and I'm just like, how do I do that? And then I have to go away and either research online or go to YouTube, or actually just let my brain slip into gear after maybe a half hour and a a couple of energy drinks.
Sure. Yep.
All right. Well, Dave. So Armies and Legions and Hordes is now coming to retail. Yeah.
That's correct.
What is there going to be any differences versus the Kickstarter version of the book?
The only difference, I'm going to reach back here because I have a copy handy. So this is the Kickstarter version, and so in the slipcase we have the book itself.
Yes.
So this is the Kickstarter version. This is the retail version. So
I see.
It doesn't have the slipcase, but everything else, the book is identical. All of the information is the same. But yeah, so the slipcase was a nice sort of exclusive for Kickstarter backers. And but the book itself, all of the information, the material is exactly the same.
Cool. Cool. And do you have a rough idea of when that's going to drop for folks?
It's actually available now from websites like warlordgames.com. So for folks in the UK and Europe, you're going to be your quickest bet. It's available now from ironheartartisans.com in the US. So if you want to get it online, you can get it from those folks. For friendly local game stores in the UK, Europe, anybody who sort of picks stuff up directly from Warlord, they can order it from them. Or in the US, for friendly local game stores, folks who stores that order from Alliance Game Distributors, it will be available from them in March. So
nice, very nice.
Awesome. Well, if it's all the Warlord stuff, maybe actually swing by their stand at Salute, and maybe if they're at Adepticon.
Yep, at Adepticon, actually over here at Adepticon and some of the HMGS East shows, so Cold Wars, Historicon, and Fall In, it'll be at those shows with Winged Hussar Publishing. So my buddy Vince is doing those.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Well, Dave, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Always a pleasure to catch up with you. Long may your publishing success continue. This as a first offering is a piece of gorgeous work. I highly recommend it to anybody out there who is like myself and has huge collections. And you get maybe a little bit of paralysis whenever you realize you've got like 4,000 points of Space Marines you now need to paint.
Yep. Well, hopefully the book that can help folks get past those roadblocks, whatever they might be. There's loads of different ideas in there on how to sort of progress and get past those things that might be sort of catching you up.
Yeah.
All right, well, everybody, don't forget, get your comments in below for your chance to win one of 2 copies of Armies and Legions and Hordes. Myself, John, and Dave will move on. We'll see you again soon. From what I hear from John, it was a very cool experience working to actually figure out what he actually wanted to show Dave in that book for his sort of inspirational side of things.
Is he getting a percentage of the gross?
No.
He just gets the gross.
Oh, that's all right then.
Well, he got a free copy.
That'll do.
That's not bad. Not bad.
That'll do.
That'll do, pig.
It is interesting to hear that Dave is planning to make more books and work with other, creatives within the industry to actually give you more different sort of angles and avenues for things that you maybe wouldn't really think of.
Well, he's got some good heritage in the industry anyway.
Yeah.
That he's He's ploughing his own furrow now,
Yeah.
but
And in case you three
he used
don't
to plough
know-
somebody else's.
In case you three don't know, and in case anybody skipped over the end of that one, we are actually giving away 2 copies of Armies and Legions and Hordes.
3 if I can find where John's put his.
He
It's,
took it
it's in
home
my
with
bag.
him.
All right.
Just 2 then.
One's been claimed, sorry. All right, so it is time to move on to the news. And Ben, I did promise we would let you get a word in edgewise here. So what in the hell has been going on in the world?
Cool, yeah. So the first piece of news that we're going to be looking at is from the guys at the Ministry of Gentlemanly Warfare. Now, these are the guys that have done games in the past like Blood Eagle, which was very, very good. And they were actually showing off this game called Thud and Blunder back last year at Salute. They had a couple of demo tables, but this year should see the release of the game properly. So this is going to be a new sort of fantasy skirmish game that they've put together, which takes a lot of the mechanics from Blood Angel and sort of reinvents them in a new way to make them easy and sort of quick to dive into for young players, and also deep enough for older players as well, which I thought was really cool. A little bit like what we're seeing with a lot of other games at the moment, it's trying to be sort of open source when it comes to its miniatures, so you can use whatever the hell you've got in your collection, dig out some of those old ones, like we had an article this week about dusting off old miniatures. This would be a perfect opportunity to do that kind of thing. It's a big campaign narrative, scenario-based game. You can do dungeon delving, you can do traditional sort of Mordheim stuff where you've got war bands leveling up as you go through. There's a little bit of role-playing in there as well, which I think is really cool, and it's effectively a nice little toolbox for you to use when it comes to fantasy wargaming. So if you're one of those people that's, you know, picking up a whole bunch of random fantasy stuff right now, this is another option for you to go and potentially check out.
It's also sorry, mate.
Sorry.
I was going to say it's also another example for people to be able to use, you know, all those Kickstarter games where you've got fantastic miniatures, and now nobody's playing that game.
Yeah.
You know, you can.
It is a problem we've seen with some Kickstarters because the production time is so long. You get all this big hype during the Kickstarter, and then you're waiting and waiting, and the bubble gets smaller and smaller and
Are
smaller.
you talking about Fabled Realms?
No! I love that game.
What a low blow.
Oh, I can't believe
I
it.
think they're
Can't get the
also
staff, Ben. Can't get the staff.
Ben, if we ever are out in America together, we're never going to a shooting range, okay? Because this would be you with a gun, this would be your foot.
so
I don't mind talking about stuff.
The Ministry of the Gentlemanly Warfare. They're also the guys that did the Osprey steampunk
worked
game.
with them,
What- I can't remember the name of the game.
Ben, to Google.
Was it in Her
Her
Majesty's
Majesty's
In Her
name.
Majesty's name.
Yeah, and
So
they
they're
also
the
had
guys
the
that wrote
Japanese
that.
game as well.
Yes, and Ronan. I think they did Ronan.
Ronan. Yeah.
High Show, I think, was another one.
Oh no,
they've
it could
done
be
as well.
High. So yeah, they're very good. I remember those games. I really enjoyed.
See, I like games like this because it gives me a reason to go out and look at. I look at some fantasy miniatures and I go, it's lovely, but am I ever going to get it on the table?
That's exactly
and
it.
this is what it gives me is, I like it, and I've got this to put it on the table.
There's going to be some interesting things happening at Salute this year. As I say, like these guys are obviously going to have potentially Thud and Blunder there for you to go and play and demo again, which is really cool. They had a lot of younger players sitting there to play the game, which I thought was a really nice thing to see. But also you've got, there's another company whose name I'm unfortunately, but I think they're called Oakbound Studios, and they're bringing out a skirmish game called The Woods, which is set in sort of Dark Age, Fey folklore times back in sort of like Albion as it was back in those mystical eras. So go and have a look for that one as well. Which
All right, I thought we were going to have to reset the Burrows and Badgers clock there.
No, and I was going to just say that there's also a little small company in Nottingham with Rick Priestley, I think his name is. They brought out quite a nice little. I hope it works for them. I mean, this young lad Rick, he seems to
He's
have
up
a
and
good.
coming.
He's got a good idea. Yeah.
This could turn out to be one to
Yeah,
watch
he
in
could.
future.
He could,
This,
yeah.
Richard Priestley Esquire.
Was it Robert Priest Hammer, something like that? But anyway, I imagine that something rather exciting. No, I don't imagine actually, because I've already been licking the pages. Sorry. Moving on.
Licking or looking at?
Licking.
Licking or looking at?
Licking.
Okay,
Yes.
that'll explain a lot. That'll explain a lot.
When my lads were younger, they used to try and say that they had to buy it. You know the thing where you open the box. If you've opened the box, you have to buy it.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying which one, but one of them decided that if they licked the cling film kind of shrink wrap on the outside, that I then had to buy it. And I was in such hysterics that
Donut.
it wasn't very hard for me to say no, but I was really in hysterics. And there you go. So now we talk about licking the box.
Well, there
it's
is
mine now.
It's mine.
Well,
Yeah.
there is the thing,
claiming
licking things
dibs.
to claim them as your own. Yeah. Have you done that, Ben?
No, I don't. I tend to do it
Yes.
I tend to do it with cupcakes.
Okay, food it works. But it works. Okay, what else do we have in the news?
So we actually got 2 game announcements from Mythic Games as well. They were at the Cannes Festival, and they were talking about all the new games that they've been working on. Obviously, Solomon Kane, Reichbusters, and all that kind of thing. And they actually announced 2 new games, as I was saying. The first of these is called Super Fantasy Brawl, and this is the one that I'm a lot more interested in. So this one is one that's very different from anything they've done before. It's a sort of like loose hero brawler that you play on the tabletop. It's like a proper board game. You can choose heroes from whichever factions you want. There's no factions, as it were, but you can choose heroes and mash them together to create a whole bunch of different combinations, and then you fight it out on the tabletop, and it's all card-driven combat, which is also a big plus in my opinion, and it will all end up with a cool sort of organized play game that they're trying to get to the tabletop. I like the artwork for this. They were talking about it with a couple of guys at Essen last year, which is pretty cool, and it's nice to see things have expanded from there. They've done a couple of interviews talking about it as well over the past couple of weeks, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with this one, and it will be on Kickstarter at some point this year as well.
It's very World of Warcraft-y. The artwork.
It's kind of got what's the game that replaced Dota? League of Legends?
We don't know
it's got a real League of Legends.
Could you just play with them?
Well, I mean, that's one of the interesting things about this. Like, as I say, there's no factions in this game, so any hero can fight alongside any hero. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this balances out when it comes to organised play and all that kind of thing. They've also said that they have some interesting plans going forward for that as well. So they want to make sure that there's regular hero releases, regular updates, regular tournament stuff for that as well. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing some actual gameplay of it, because it seemed to have captured a lot of the attention of the Mythic guys last year. So. Yeah.
See, I like card-driven games because it kind of drops some of the randomness from attacks and things. If you've been lucky, got a decent hand, or you've worked your hand so you've got enough gas in the tank, you can really go to town on someone, which is just a lot of fun.
Says King Alpha Strike.
Why is it King Alpha? Why is it all... Hang on, here's a question for you. Why is enjoying playing hardcore gaming making you an Alpha Striker?
Because that's exactly what it is.
Pretty much the definition. But is there anything wrong with that? Not at all. Not at all. If you don't want to play that kind of game and the person knows it, they'll just say what kind of game that they want.
Yeah.
I think where you have a problem is where people, and I think this could be a hot topic in some ways. Sometimes people can't moderate the way they play for the people that they're playing with, and I think it's really.
There was only that one time that I stamped on Adam.
No, there was
See, that's the kind of game I hate. I hate steamroller games.
CAD. Twilight Imperium, a decade ago. If you don't stop manipulating them, I'm going to push your head through the wall.
Really?
That's the way he spoke to his 6 hours. Yeah. I was actually influenced in that game, perhaps a little bit too much, but hey-ho, that's why. I mean, there are some games where...
I'm guessing there's a big stick and a pot.
Yeah, I had the whole galaxy to do it with.
Well, that might be an interesting... and another one of the games that Mythic Games actually announced might be interesting to those kind of people that like a little bit of table talk and back and forth, and it's called Hell, the Last Saga. So this is going to be another one of their big board games, a little bit like Solomon Kane and all the things they've been working on as well. And this is a game which is...
Scandinavian Hell.
Yeah. So it's set during the period of, I think it's 999 AD. And it's when the old pagan ways are fading away and the Christianity is coming to the fore, and you play a group of survivors, as they're called, who are looking for effectively the Christian afterlife, a little bit of heaven, and also Viking Valhalla. However, they find themselves in what amounts to hell. And so you then have to survive in this horrible landscape, dealing with food, keeping everybody alive and all that kind of thing. But the twist of this as well is there's actually a semi-cooperative aspect to the game as well. So as well as being able to try and keep the group alive and focus towards that end goal, you're also trying to complete your own personal goals at the same time. So it's all about sort of how you want to measure that and sort of whether or not you want to backstab somebody and sort of go your own way as well. But obviously, if you're going to try and do it all by yourself, you might not survive against the monsters and all the horrible things out there.
Is that anti-sec next to the person with the eagle?
Possibly.
Really nice miniatures.
The miniatures are gorgeous.
Really nice.
It's one thing I've come to expect from the guys at Mythic. They just have a really clean, crisp art style that they always go for, and they translate it to miniature beautifully every single time.
Every time.
Yeah, if you want to learn a little bit more about these, we've put some those news stories together so you can go and have a proper read of what we talked about and what was revealed at Cannes this year as well, which is pretty cool. But I'm looking forward to it. And this is, again, another Kickstarter that they're doing this year. So watch out for that one. So, yeah.
She deserves whatever she comes across.
Really?
With her Christian cross in the Scandinavian hell. So I don't care. No, if it's a terrible place, love, I think you'll find you brought it on yourself.
6 hours later.
Yeah, so the last piece of news we're going to be looking at for today is from the guys at Wizards of the Coast. They announced their newest sourcebook, which is going to be coming out, called... I can't remember what it's called now.
Goes bad as us.
Ghosts of Saltmarsh.
Ghosts of Saltmarsh.
Yeah.
I'm completely bamboozled now, but it's called Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and this is a new book which will have a whole bunch of different adventures for characters going from level 1 all the way through to level 12. And it takes a lot of existing adventures that used to exist in the first edition of Dungeons & Dragons, AD&D, and all that kind of thing, and brings them back to life and plants them back into the 5th edition for you to play through again. The other cool thing as well is that while Saltmarsh itself was from the Greyhawk setting, they've actually made the new version of Saltmarsh for this setting neutral. So you can put it into whatever kind of campaign or whatever world you've built, and it will fit in with everything you're doing in 5th edition. As well as all the adventures that come in the book for you to play through, which are all those old ones, there's some new ones as well. And they've also got rules for naval combat and ships. So if you want to take to the sea and
Naval
be a pirate,
combat.
you've got some options
Sea
there.
full of vinegar sounds like to me. Lovely job.
But yeah, we actually saw there was a Critical Role is a big live stream that goes on, plays D&D. They use some ships in some of their combat. And yeah, those are some of the rules that have been graduated over into here, as you can see in this book, which is pretty cool. So yeah.
Well, seeing as we're speaking of role-playing, there is one little bit of a shout-out I want to do.
Yes.
Which is there's a page on Facebook I follow called Extra Credit. And they actually recently had a look at some lesser-known RPGs. And it's a fabulous watch. Go and check it out, guys.
If we're having shout-outs, I'd like to shout out for Brigade Games Kickstarter. That's out at the moment. And
Mr. Hicks's lovely Tiny Fighting Men.
Oh, they are, aren't they? Yeah. And I'd also like to give a shout out for Pulp Figures is bringing out a Kickstarter very, very shortly through the avenue that is Crucible Crush.
All right. I'd like to thank my mom and Ellis.
And I'd like to thank my wife.
Now, who's
for
going to thank
staying
the
there.
Academy?
I'd like to thank, as we just mentioned, D&D, all the unironic Dark Elf Rangers
Yeah.
that are good on the inside.
But for this, it is nice to see that they're giving you more ways to explore the world and do different things.
Yes.
So that
I'm not
it's
one
not
of the
on
bad
it's not on
people,
the
I'm
DM
just with
to
them.
homebrew rules for things like naval combat.
Yes.
One of the interesting, it's linked, but in a different way, and we haven't actually talked about it yet on the site. But there's also going to be some work going in towards a series of books for younger gamers. So if you find that something like the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Monster Manual are a bit too much for a lot of younger role-play games out there, they're actually going to be bringing out a whole bunch of different books that will help guide kids into playing more role-playing games on the tabletop, which I thought was really awesome. So
I wonder
Do you?
if years ago D&D, when they were trying to launch it in Japan, they did a specifically Japanese version because they have very different ideas of things. So their elves were very much the Warcraft style, giant floppy eared
really?
elves, and all the drawings in it. And if you weren't obviously it was pre-Warcraft, so people just looked at it and went, "What in the name of God is going on here?" But having something that draws on that style of artwork, even though you keep all the rest of it the same, because you're not actually varying any of the background or the game mechanics, it was just the actual style of it.
Imagery of it.
And the imagery of it would be
Yeah.
a good way to draw people in.
Yeah,
I wonder if
maybe.
that still exists out there.
Well, I'm sure it probably exists somewhere.
Yeah, but in Japanese that
In
nobody
your
read.
head.
Well, it'd also be nice
Except for Sam.
depending on how they do the books for children.
Yeah.
It could be interesting because one of the things with D&D is when people get given a player's handbook and they've never played
God,
anything
yeah.
before, and they're like, "So I do what and how do I?"
Yeah,
And where am I?
You're trying
and
to
what
work
am I-
your way through it.
Yeah,
It's a
we've
bit of a
got
slog.
a friend of ours that has never played D&D
got a
before.
friend.
We got one friend.
One friend?
One
I thought you
friend.
had two.
I have two. One of them's invisible, but
Harvey's not.
and he's never
I
played.
love that rabbit.
He's only just started playing games. So the first game he was playing was Spartacus, board games, and now he would like to try
I love the
D&D.
mechanics of Sparta.
But if we presented him with a player's handbook and
Yeah, all the
When-
paraphernalia, yeah.
have a read of that, as he's never experienced anything before, but he knows what D&D is. He's seen it in things like Stranger Things, other places. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'd like to give that a go."
But the weird thing is, especially I think because after all we can only speak English mostly in the
I speak two languages. English and bad English.
I thought so, yes. Is why D&D had so much traction and also, Pathfinder and that kind of thing. And yet over in UK, Republic of Ireland and many other parts of Europe, where I haven't been, but I'm imagining is the case. D&D hadn't really had much of a showing for some time, and it tended to be a little bit geeky amongst geeks, which is really hard. And
there's always that next level of
and then I think I'm really pleased that when I think didn't Waterstones pick up on Magic first of all, and now they do more and more.
Well, they've got lots of like proper geeky board games.
That's right, and I think that's great
And
for the
role-playing games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I think I was talking about with the regard the D&D, and I was really, really pleased. Whoever the guy is in Waterstones in Sheffield, when I know he was talking to a new person who was just getting into D&D. They'd done the Games Workshop stuff, and then they went over to Waterstones and they had a look at that. And I just think that if you've got members of staff that are prepared to engage with the customers, then
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah. Can I have a free book now from
No, but I think that does wrap us up for the news, unless we have anything else, Ben.
No, that's last of it, yeah.
All right, so we're going to break away for our next feature, which is another one of our friends from the industry. We have Colin from Battle Systems in, talking about what they're looking to do in the near future for their terrain.
Those bad boys. Was it painted fingernails or something? He'll be able to let you know. And Wonder Pants or something. I remember being told about it. Yeah. Painted man. Pink fingernails.
Hi everybody, I'm back with Colin from Battle Systems, and today we're having a bit of a chat about what they're going to be doing in the future, because this is something I love hearing, because it's always nice to see the progression of where a company's going. So what have you got in mind?
Okay, well, one of the first projects that we did was the fantasy range. That was really, really popular. We did like a dungeon and a castle that we could, put together. Since then we've done urban and we've done loads of sci-fi and all sorts of things. Everyone's screaming at us like, fantasy,
They want more.
We've got this, we've had this great fantasy terrain, which is just, it's so popular. There's just none left. So we're gonna focus now on expanding our two largest range. So we're going to do a bit more sci-fi, but we're going to focus on the fantasy as well. So that's where we're going to head, straight into the fantasy.
Okay. Important question then. Which sort of route are you planning to take it to market with? Are you going Kickstarter? Are you going direct release?
Okay, so we're going to go for Kickstarter, certainly. We're still small enough to need the support of everybody to help us. And anybody that knows us, how we run Kickstarters is that often a lot of the ideas and the design focus comes whilst we're running the actual Kickstarter itself. We're in there having the comments, people are making suggestions, and more often than not, a lot of those turn up whilst the Kickstarter's running. I spend
so like you're frantically drawing out new buildings.
I'll do it, design it, prototype it, build it, and have a photo, within a few days. So that's how we do it. It's a crazy way to do it. It's ridiculous, but that's how we do it. So so we're gonna launch that on Kickstarter, and we're gonna just go mad. Yeah.
Okay. The question then becomes, what side of the fantasy world are you going to be looking at? Because you've got your dungeon, you've got your castle. Where would you go now?
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to focus on the more sort of external buildings, tabletop terrain, so that a lot of people have got their big table. And they just want to fill it with really cool buildings and things like that. So that kind of Tudor villagey house kind of thing, which can be used for so many different games, whether you're playing like, fantasy battle, or you're having a kind of a, you play Malifaux, or, just so many different environments to explore. And I think a really nice, a full table, something really big, 6x4 kind of table, full of enough to just be, to say, here's my pledge. We're going to fill this with all this lovely terrain, and that'll fill my table up nicely. Thank you very much. And of course, all those buildings, because it's Battle Systems, all those buildings will be able to. They will be strong, so that if you drop them, they're not going to fly. They'll bounce. Yeah, they're not going to fly into a million pieces. And you'll be able to go inside those buildings as well, because that's really important to us. So we're really going to open up your gaming table.
Well, the next thing I'd wonder about. Now, I know you guys love doing modular stuff, but are you going to go for a bit more style over function, or
so basically, all of our terrain to date is fully modular. I mean, you can do literally anything with it. Now, when you go external buildings, you certainly, if you're going to have to tackle something like a fantasy house or like a tavern or whatever, you're going to need some very, very bespoke parts to that. So what we're going to do is still going to be modular, but we're going to focus on the fact that we're going to make sure that these houses look amazing. And so you might be able to take a couple of houses and say, well, what I can do, I can take these two houses and kind of merge them so they kind of fit into a slightly bigger house and
so
stuff
would
like
it
that.
be modular by level then?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's very early days at the moment. I've got some pretty cool designs, and I'm trying to just make sure it works the best possible. But it should look stunning. You can go into every single building, and there'll be ruins, and it's all about the scatter for us. So you can expect all the furniture.
I was about to ask.
All the furniture, and the little cart outside, and the wooden bridge, and all that kind of stuff. So you can really have a table that just sucks you straight in immediately.
Okay, so fantasy, you're covered.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are the sci-fi lovers out there getting some love too?
Absolutely, yeah. Now, again, we're known for our internal sci-fi, and we've got a lot of it. If you want to battle inside a space station or something like that, we've got you covered. However, big tables, 6 foot by 4 foot or something like that, and you want to stick your 40k on there, you're going to want your Gothic ruins, you're going to want all of your really cool sort of mech kind of buildings, and you're going to want you're going to want that big environment. And the same thing applies if we're going to have a building there. You'll be able to lift it off and go straight inside and continue the battle inside, which would be really cool.
Now, you see, I love this idea of doing like huge table packs because I think they could come in really handy for like tournament organizers.
Sure, absolutely.
Because what they could do is they could take maybe a couple or 3 of those big packs
and
split them out. Now, I know you'll probably hate this, but it's what you get some tournament players do. They'll put 6 bits of terrain down. But they could split it out across a bunch of tables.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt, yeah. I mean, we're hoping to offer quite a lot in one table full of terrain. So, often, I mean, a bit like a set like we've got on the table here at the moment. This is not what you get in the box. This is about 2/3 of what actually comes in a set. So, I could whatever's left over I could use to expand this, or I could put it on another table. So should be very flexible in that respect.
Well, you see, I like the idea of it because it's something that I've seen tournament organizers struggle with for years. With big heavy duty terrain, like resin cast, big plastic kits. It's a lot of kit to run about with. With this, you bring it along, it's all nicely flat packed down, you've got some pre-built sections.
Absolutely.
And everything fits inside it so you can store it.
Totally.
And then you can lay out your tournament really, really quickly for folks.
Without a doubt. I mean, everything that you've got, miniatures aside, everything you've got on this table here fits in a really quite a small little... I've got this little plastic container. It's like an A5 container, and all the walls flat packed. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And I literally just pack the walls together, chuck elastic band around it. The clips go in a baggie, and all the extra little bits and pieces of that just go in a little baggie, and that's it. Job's done. So you can compare that to a big plastic resin thing, then you're gonna it's night and day.
Well, I mean, like the containment of your gaming space, it's something a lot of gamers have a lot of work to do. I mean, like I have seen people do full conversions of a single room of their house, much to the distress of the missus or the other half, but they have to do this just because there's so much stuff. With your stuff, it's got that transportability and that storability. It's a bit like with board games. You should be able to put a board game on a shelf, pull it off, play it, put it back on. It fits on its slot. Our terrain does the same thing basically. You pack it back down, flat pack it, like I say, rubber band round it, chuck it in the box, stick it back on the shelf, and you should be able to look at your shelf and just go, hey, that's the one I want to play.
I'm going to go for this particular set. Pull it off, get it out, and when it's done, packed away, back on the shelf. You don't have wardrobes full of things that gets knocked and falling and chipped and your paint's coming off and all that nonsense.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to make you cry a little bit because it's always inspiring to hear about expansions to ranges and taking it to the next level. One thing I love doing is I love hearing from the community as to where they would love to see you take the ranges and where maybe even exploring something you've never even looked at before. Actually hearing from them what they would like to see.
You know what? And I'll be very interested to. We're already asking out and around our community about what people want to see on the fantasy table. We're at the stage of development now where we're really just taking in ideas. And for example, when we our dungeon Kickstarter, there were items that our castle came from suggestions, our sewers came from suggestions. People wanted mines so they could have railway tracks and all stuff like that. We made it happen on the Kickstarter. I'm going to try and be a bit more proactive so that I don't nearly die this time or cut my fingers to bits trying to get it all ready. But so we're going to be a bit more proactive, and we want to know now. We want to know now what people want.
Well, for myself, there's one thing I would love to see is just like a little adventurers camp.
Okay.
So some nice little tents, a little campfire.
I can see that.
The general stuff they would bring, maybe a little cart.
Yeah, I think I've designed it.
Have you?
Yeah, just now. Yeah, I'm just thinking how I can do that with the materials that we use, and I can't see any roadblocks there. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, everybody, get your suggestions in below where you would like to see battle systems go with the new fantasy range that they're expanding out. We will move on. We will see you again very soon.
Hey guys, this is Dallas from Privateer Press, and you're watching The Weekender on Beasts of War. Paint on.
After that, my family came back.
That's what Colin's up to. Hopefully, you've enjoyed it. I
haven't even finished explaining it.
We've also got another one from the guys at Shadows of Brimstone.
Did you record any of that?
Hello, everybody. I am joined by Scott and Jason from Flying Frog Productions, and today we're going to be having a bit of a chat about their latest Kickstarter. Hi, guys. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys too. So, Flying Frog Productions, you're probably best known for Shadows of Brimstone, and you've got a new Kickstarter up and running. So, can you maybe give us a little bit of an outline of what this project's going to entail?
Sure, yeah. So the new Kickstarter is obviously for a Shadows of Brimstone project. It's called Shadows of Brimstone Adventures, and it's for basically 2 brand new standalone adventure sets for Shadows of Brimstone.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now for anyone who hasn't seen Shadows of Brimstone before, would you maybe like to let them know what the world is and what they're going to expect from a game like this?
Sure. So Shadows of Brimstone is basically a dungeon crawl game that's fully cooperative, and it basically all the players take on the role of different heroes and go kind of diving into a dungeon and exploring, fighting creatures, going on missions. Mm-hmm. And it has a built-in campaign system, so you actually can keep your characters from game to game. You can build up experience, go up in levels. Each hero class has kind of some unique way that they play, and they've got like a skill tree, so as you go up in levels, you can choose new skills and kind of build your character as you go and sort of guide their development.
There's a light role play aspect where you can level up and continue your character from game to game. Mm-hmm. But really, at its heart, it's a great dungeon crawl board game with a heavy miniatures element. So we really, we love the hobby game. We grew up on, Games Workshop stuff, and we were really excited to share our love of that with a new audience, which is people that know us for board games. Mm-hmm. So our board game audience suddenly were like, whoa, I have to assemble these miniatures. I can paint them. We're like, painting's very fun.
Yeah.
And for a time now, we're hearing from people where they're like, oh, I bought some paints and I painted a miniature and it's so cool. And we're like, yeah.
We also have a lot of people that will tell us or post on forums that, this game got me back into painting miniatures after 20 years, after a 20-year break.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to make that connection with people and to, pull people into trying new parts of the more hobby end of the game.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's one thing I've discussed with people many times is that the hobby is not just playing games. There are many aspects to it. So you have the build, the painting, the playing, and even down to the research into games. Because, people play games, and if something sparks their imagination, they're going to go off. They're going to watch documentaries. They're going to read, posts and stuff all across the internet to find out about the world, the era. And that's something I always find really special. Now, this Kickstarter you're launching, it's a short Kickstarter, so people don't have a lot of time to jump in, yeah?
Right. We decided our last 2 Kickstarters, which were our only 2 Kickstarters, mm-hmm. Were a month each. Mm-hmm. And we thought for this one, maybe we would do it for a shorter time span. One of the things we introduced last time was in our second Kickstarter, we did late backing, which a lot of people were begging for, and we gave them an opportunity. And so once we were like, well, okay, if it's only a 2-week window and someone misses it, they could still late pledge, and so it's not the end of the world. And so for us, we would rather run it over a more compressed span of time, because during the Kickstarter, we're just on a 24-hour schedule where we get almost no sleep, and it's a crazy time.
Up all night and trying to keep everything up and running. So it's basically a 2-week project for this current Kickstarter. It launched last Saturday on the 23rd, and it basically runs through 2 weeks up until March 9th.
Well, specifically 6 p.m. March 9th Pacific Standard Time.
Okay.
For in Europe, that's actually going to be early March 10th.
Yeah. Now, the game itself, so it's a dungeon crawler, so we are expecting certain things. So fully cooperative play, the classic dungeon crawl feel. Is there anything else that's coming out in the new set that's really just going to go, holy crap, wow?
Yeah, I mean there definitely are. One of the big things is we basically have a new type of hero class that you play, which is a team hero. So in previous Shadows of Brimstone games and products, each person could choose whatever hero class they want, and he plays a cowboy and I play a saloon girl, and we're just sort of a motley crew that goes on these adventures. And with these two new sets, they're basically kind of condensed and make it so that you play as a team. So you're all playing Vikings or you're all playing conquistadors, but you have variations amongst them. So he might be playing a Viking Jarl, who's like a big chieftain with a heavy axe and a chainmail armor, and I might play like a Huskarl, who has like the bow, is kind of an honor guard character with a sword and shield and a bow to get off quick arrows at enemies before charging into the fray. So it's kind of cool putting it a little bit on its ear and playing kind of a crack team of explorers and fighters that all have the same kind of heritage and cultural background.
And besides being just the same type of character, there's also a new thing we introduced that's a team ability. So everybody starts the game with one team ability that actually is kind of a boost for the whole team, and it's a once per adventure thing.
So there's like a deck of cards. So you can use these new heroes like Vikings or conquistadors mixed together with any of your old heroes. You can just mix them in and play one of those motley crew teams going to adventure together. But the more Vikings you play on a team, the more benefit they'll give to each other. So you have this deck of team abilities cards, and for each Viking or each conquistador on the team, they get to draw one of those cards and add it to a pool, and then you as a group decide when to use them and how to use them, and each one of those cards is like a once per adventure thing, and they benefit all Vikings or all conquistadors. And so if you have one or two conquistadors on your team mixed with other hero types, then those conquistadors will still have that little bit of kind of a buddy-buddy, we have these cards we can play, so the two of us are a team. And if you have a full team of conquistadors with 3 or 4 or 5, then every single one of those team ability cards you play, the bonus just expands to affect every hero that's that type.
Very cool, very cool. Now, I'm also having a bit of a look through the Kickstarter while I'm at it here, and one thing has caught my eye, and it's left me going, "Ooh, I want one." You have the XL-sized Frost Giant. So, am I right in assuming that you guys are actually drawing from the different mythologies of each of these? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's each of those two new adventure sets also has a Kickstarter exclusive hero that you'll get if you pledge for either of the sets. And we delve into the mythology for that. So the Vikings, you'll actually get to play as a Valkyrie warrior maiden.
Ah, very cool.
So that's pretty cool. And then, there's not a lot of mythology surrounding conquistadors. So we looked at like historical exploration and then kind of the mythology around that.
Yeah, so for the conquistadors, the kind of Kickstarter exclusive promo hero you get is the Cursed Eternal. And he's basically one of Ponce de Leon's crew that found the Fountain of Youth and took water from it, consumed it to get immortality, but it came at a dark price. Basically, he has a ghost blade, and he's constantly withering away. So even though he lives forever, it's in kind of a state of torment. And so he has to cut down enemies with his ghost blade and sort of steal their soul and their life essence to keep himself refreshed.
I see. It sounds as if people are going to have a lot of cool adventures to play with, because, I mean, like with the Vikings, you've got all the old sagas that you can, have a play and have a look at. And with the Conquistadors, there's nothing wrong with looking at, I think it's Aztec culture, wouldn't it be?
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of Mesoamerican cultures that influence the mythology and whatnot. One of the other things that I don't think we touched on yet with Shadows of Brimstone is that it gives you this dungeon crawl adventure in sort of Earth-based worlds, but because it's got that unspeakable horror element, you find these swirling gateways that open up that basically lead to other worlds and other dimensions that you can step through the portal and keep adventuring on the other side. So in the game, it's all map tile based, and all the map tiles are double-sided. They've got the Earth-based world that you're playing in on one side, and then on the other side, it's a crazy alien environment that you can go exploring. And so with these two sets, in Gates of Valhalla, which is the Viking-themed set, the Earth-based world is the Norse lands. So you're running around in snowy forests and icy crags, fighting trolls and frost giants and things like that. But when you step through a portal, suddenly you end up in an ancient, frozen-over alien city that's been long abandoned for millennia. And the only thing left in the city are these robotic creations that are going around keeping all the systems going and defending the city against intruders. So it gives you this this kind of cool, juxtaposition of Vikings who are kind of barbaric and very kind of close combat oriented, hand-to-hand fisticuffs and axes and shields, fighting these kind of higher tech but ancient robots that have ranged attacks and kind of shake up that combat a little bit.
It does sound like it's going to be a very different feel to it, because if you're rocking in with Vikings, because if a Viking sees a robot with a gun, he's not going to know it's a gun. He's just going to go, no, to Valhalla, die.
Yeah. And the other fun part of that is that with the second adventure set, the Valley of the Serpent Kings, it's conquistadors exploring an abandoned Spanish fort that they lost contact with. So that's the Earth-based side of the world. So it's this sort of dark and creepy Spanish fort that, there's torches burning on the walls, but there's crazy demons and creatures hiding in the shadows, cults that have moved in, and, undead that are crawling through the place. And when they find portals, they can step through into this swampy alien world called the Swamps of Jargono, which, of course, is overrun with tribal serpent men who build big pyramids and have archers and big temple guard and things like that. So it gives your conquistadors the opportunity to go on expeditions into the jungles that they may be familiar with, but in an alien environment that's overrun with really terrifying kind of nightmarish creatures, carnivorous plants, giant insects, and serpent men.
And the thing is that each of these different worlds, not just the alien worlds, but also the Earth-based ones, has a card associated with it, a world card. And so every time you're adventuring through the dungeon and different encounter tokens that you flip over as you enter a new room, they'll show you what to expect. Like there's an encounter and there's 2 doors in this room, or you're attacked by creatures and there's a portal in this room. And whenever you find one of these portals, then if you're going to go through it, you shuffle up all the world cards that you have and draw from that to tell where it leads. And you don't know. And the thing is that if you just have the Viking set, it leads to Target.
The Target Plateau, which is the frozen alien city.
Right. But if you have, say, both the Conquistador and the Viking one, then when you find one of these portals, you shuffle up all those, and so the Vikings might end up going from their Norse lands through a portal and ending up at the Spanish fort, or they end up in the Swamps of Jargono, or they end up in Targa Plateau.
So basically, each set on its own gives you, a compartmentalized experience. But the more sets you have, or the more other world expansions you have, the more places you can go, the more variation you have every time you play an adventure.
And the thing is that we've done, the first Shadows of Brimstone that we introduced all this with was Old West based. And so you start in the American Old West, and it's this gritty cowboy, Clint Eastwood kind of Old West, but you end up exploring the mines, and you can find portals, and they lead to other worlds. And so we had 2 core sets of that, and then since then we've released a bunch of other world expansions with alien worlds on one side and more mine stuff on the other. And then our second Kickstarter we actually did, it was called Forbidden Fortress, and the Earth-based side starts in feudal Japan, and you're playing as samurais and traveling monks and ninja assassins and sorcerers. And you can go, the other world for that one was the Belly of the Beast, it was called.
Yeah, so you find a portal that leads inside a giant living creature So as you're exploring, they're all kind of living intestine-like hallways, and big chambers of stomachs and things like that.
And so all of these things work together. So if you have one, it's really fun. If you have two, wow, mind-blowing. You have so many more options. If you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it adds so much variety, but it doesn't add to the length. It adds to the depth. You know what I mean? So it gives you so much more variety for creatures you're fighting, worlds to explore, not just other worlds, alien worlds, but also different Earth-based. And even the heroes that you're using. Like Jason said earlier, you could have a mixed bag party. So I mean, you could have, I'm like an Old West frontier doc. I went through a portal to Japan, and I hooked up with a samurai. And now the two of us went through, and we've met some Vikings. And now we're going to have a real adventure.
Now it's a party.
Now it's a party.
Hey, it's not a party until the Vikings are there.
That's right, exactly. And recently one of our backers during this Kickstarter actually said, "I just came to the realization that Shadows of Brimstone is actually a Lego set for board gamers." It's kind of like that because you can go so many ways with it.
Now I am seeing one more box that you haven't talked about here on the Kickstarter. Terran Strike Team. What is this?
The Tredaran Strike Team. So that's an exclusive to the Kickstarter at the Warlord level, and it basically, Tredera is one of the other worlds that we already came out with an expansion where your cowboys or your Vikings or whatever can go and explore this alien world called Tredera.
It's basically like an alien World War I inspired battlefield where it's trenches, tanks, gas masks, tank traps and rockets and bombs going off. And there are these alien soldiers that are the inhabitants of that world that are kind of warring nations where they're in a constant state of war. And so when your group of heroes shows up, you're picking your way through the trenches and trying to accomplish whatever mission you were on, but being kind of hunted down by these patrolling alien soldiers at the same time. So when we decided to do this Brimstone Adventures idea with the team heroes, we thought it would be kind of cool to make one of those new teams that would be exclusive to the Kickstarter, being able to sort of play as the bad guys, play as anti-heroes. And so we did this Tredaran Strike Team set, which basically lets you play as a team of those kind of World War I style alien soldiers going on missions into worlds that are maybe Earth-based, where you're going into the Old West mines or going into the Norse lands of the Vikings, but trying to steal their resources or plant a doomsday device or any number of other kind of crazy, nefarious plots that alien soldiers might have when invading other worlds.
Oh, very, very cool. I always like a board game where I can actually break out the evil villain and laugh once in a while. Now, last thing I want to touch on, the Kickstarter is actually doing insanely well. You guys are busting through stretch goals, and I see you have tons and tons more planned beyond where you're at. I mean, like, how far have you guys planned for this one to go?
Well, hopefully we've planned far enough, but it's a relatively short campaign, like we said, so it's definitely doing beyond our expectations. So we're pretty excited that it's been so well received, and I think people have really enjoyed what we've shown so far, what we've unlocked. They've enjoyed the previews of stuff that's coming up, and I think they're really going to like the stuff that's even still secret.
Yeah, in our previous Kickstarter, we actually showed like a huge amount of everything that could be unlocked. And on day one, people were super excited and they saw that. And then, day 4, day 5, it's like, well, we've already seen everything that's coming. Now, are we going to get there? And we really like doing this way better, where we just unveil like 3 or 4 at a time. And so every time people log in to check again, they're seeing like, oh, not only did we unlock a stretch goal, but we also revealed some new ones. And so it gives people something to discuss and get excited about.
Yeah, it's a little bit of mystery and excitement over kind of revealing that next thing.
Yeah, I can dig it. Okay, very, very last thing. If anybody is wanting to connect and hook up with you guys this year at like shows and events, are there any big ones you guys are planning to, have a presence at?
Of course, yeah. So just coming up really soon, we're going to be at the Gamma Trade Show. That's kind of an industry show here in the U.S. in Reno.
And then also, it's overlapping actually, Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle. And then, of course, Gen Con. We go every year, so we're going to have a big booth at Gen Con I think it's in August this year.
Yeah, I think it's very start up.
And then PAX West. PAX is Penny Arcade Expo. So PAX West is in Seattle as well. And then that's in, I think it's the last weekend of August, first weekend of September. And then finally, we rounded out with Dice Fest in October.
Ah, I see. So you're staying on the American side of the pond. I couldn't tempt you to come across to maybe UK Games Expo or something. I'd really like to get together with you guys, maybe get a beer, get a game on.
That sounds great.
It does sound like a lot of fun.
Well, now that you've invited us, I guess we'll have to come. I don't know if we'll make it this year, but maybe we can set something up.
Oh crap! I'm gonna have their entire team crashing at my place.
That's not for us, right?
All right, well, guys, it has been an absolute pleasure to chat to you. It sounds like the Kickstarter is going great. Everybody out there, if you're curious about it, definitely get in and check it out, because Shadows of Brimstone, it's a fabulous game, one that's well worth checking out. Any last things you guys would like to add about the campaign or the game itself?
Well, it's just been a lot of fun coming up with all this stuff, and then even more fun getting to see people's reactions to it when we unveil it. So far it's been a pretty wild ride.
Yeah.
And I would say, I'm really, really excited about these new miniatures. They're some of the best ones we've ever done. And I don't know if we actually said it, but for miniature fans out there, these are in Games Workshop style HIPs, hard plastic.
Yeah, multi-part hard plastic kits. They're 32 millimeter heroic.
32 millimeter heroic scale, and they're on frames and everything. And the interesting thing is, we come at this from a gamer side, and so we learned a lot of really interesting things once we started making games. And I have so much more respect for all the different games I played growing up that had miniatures, because so much goes into it. And we've gotten a lot better with our miniatures over the course of doing the different Shadows of Brimstone things by taking on more of the responsibility ourselves. So, for the latest rounds of things, we've been actually laying out every miniature, like showing every piece. We want this arm going this orientation. We want connecting to the sprue right here. And we, when we started out, China, where we do manufacturing, they were doing a lot of those things. And it turns out you have to be really hands-on if you want to do a really good product, because China doesn't know, what makes a good orientation for or layout for the sprue, that kind of thing.
Yeah, but I think these are going to be the best miniatures we've done yet, so we're pretty excited about it.
All right, well, guys, you have me curious. I definitely want to see these whenever they hit production. Thank you once again, everybody. Tell you what, get your comments in below. Tell us, are you excited for the new Shadows of Brimstone Kickstarter? Are you going to be jumping in? Me and the guys will move on. We'll see you again soon. Okay, that was actually a really cool chat. I'm glad I
Too
hooked
much
those
hot air
guys.
for me, actually.
See, for me, I like this. I like the idea that I can do Shadows of Brimstone, do some Vikings, do some Conquistadors, and mix it with the Old West and have the weirdest party going in dungeon crawling.
I think this is so ridiculous that it's not surprising. I'm all up for it. Really, it is. Yes, I'm very excited, sir.
And those models just look lovely.
Oh, they're gorgeous.
Oh, I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we were talking about.
Oh, the
Skeleton
Yeah, Jerry, why is your head so big?
You had me at Skeleton Conquistadors.
Is that better?
You see Jerry shrinking down.
Yeah.
The snake men.
Yeah, snake men, and you've got the big one.
Look at it.
That's an XL size Crocs and Beastie.
Yeah, they're
Not
also
your
doing a
regular
frost
head.
giant in this, which I noticed. Oh,
Yes. No, it's really, really exciting. We were talking about, do you have any miniatures that you could put into another game? And here comes some more.
Yeah. Well,
Ooh.
talking to the
Lovely,
guys, it sounds like this is going to be a really great
Jerry,
one.
it's you with less hair on top.
Actually, I've been
the
told to
sides?
grow my hair back and then shave it like that.
Jerry, what I'd like to
that'd be
know
good.
is, when they started off with the dolly for that one, was it nude? Or
Why are we doing this? Come on.
Oh.
All there. It has, to,
the
be,
berserkers
has to be all
bit.
there, otherwise the trousers and cloth
I don't
doesn't
know.
hang properly.
But I knew this guy who had some berserkers and they had no pants on, so he had to model some pants for them.
Sorry, just didn't
snipped.
model any.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Snip them off.
Snippy, snippy,
Who
snippy.
needs?
They're
But
really nice.
They're looking good.
Ooh,
What
what
are they?
happened there?
don't know.
So
Sorry,
suddenly
Ben,
we
you carry
went
on. We're
a
having
little
look
bit
at this and
sci-fi.
showing some Tiger.
No, more trolls. More trolls. Oh yes, look
I think
at
that's the
those.
same troll.
It is. It's.
I don't care.
It's not
And if
3.
you go down to the next one,
Goblins. Oh no, sorry,
Gremlins.
Gremlins.
Yeah.
and then down here, there's your Frost Giant.
Oh, man.
He looks so good. These guys are going from strength to strength with
Yeah.
what they're doing.
Yeah, I
and
love
it's
it.
just, I'm super happy with it.
I am too.
So does the Gates of Valhalla box come with all those?
I'm not sure,
Go
but
look at the Kickstarter
yeah, watch the-
page,
I
Kat.
will say it's a short Kickstarter count, so if you're going to check
Yeah,
it,
put
it on
soon.
there.
Comes with that.
And
Yeah, we've only, they've
well, there you go.
it
Jerry
says-
to the rescue.
It says 6 days left.
Yep.
So if you want it,
6 days left from when?
from time of filming.
From set.
from time of filming.
Yes.
So
Yes, you see what you've
I broke the
done.
magic.
So now you have to find out when this was filmed.
What you do is
Justin
you
down.
wait for the Kickstarter to end, and then you just count back.
Yes,
Do
that's
numbers.
A good idea.
But then we'll teach them about the magic of filming.
No, seriously though, this is definitely one to check out. You're going to get a ton of stuff in the box, and you're going to be able to have a lot
I love
of
it.
fun.
Ooh,
Yeah,
9 days
so
to
it's
go.
like
So this
Should be
isn't a
it.
lie. I was right. 6 days.
You see, he was wrong. This is
Yes.
current.
This is
it's
why we have
official.
guests, so they know how the show is run.
Yeah.
right.
Sorry, Ben.
Anyway, let's move along. That's enough Vikings.
Sorry, other
No,
There
Ben.
is something else happening.
this is really-
I'm
I'm
really
really-
talk about something he's really excited about.
Well, I'm sorry,
And
but
this-
I'm really
this,
here
this next
regardless.
one I really like too.
No,
I mean,
Jerry's very excited.
You're really excited?
Am I though? Maybe.
What is it, Ben?
I might be.
Is Terrain Crate 2. So this is then coming back with a whole bunch of new terrain
They're
for you to use in your
fantastic.
tabletops, creating sets for a whole bunch of different genres. Now, their past stuff very much focused on the idea of fantasy gaming, whereas this is trying to lean a little bit more towards the pulp side and also historical at the same time. So if you're playing a lot of Walking Dead, for example, or if you're playing some bolt action, they've got some options for you
Or
there.
that terrain could definitely
Historics.
be. Well, no, I was more thinking in somewhere maybe a few thousand, not 100,000.
I'm thinking
Years in the
Cthulhu-esque.
No, I'm
That
thinking
stuff.
more. There's certain inquisitors in certain places that
yeah.
might have
Yeah.
Of course. But I mean,
gothic mana terrain.
Some of us have
there's
other
nothing to say
hobbies.
that couldn't be set into like a
Look,
nice
that's
fantasy
beautiful,
place.
though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, there's an inn I know of, and I'm sure it could do with some beds and chairs. You know, maybe a kitchen unit
And a garden.
and a garden. Yeah, with some mushrooms.
They unlocked the squirrel yesterday.
No, I've seen the script. No, oi, you.
Don't
Anybody who's
Have you
seen
noticed-
any of my profiles?
But have you
There's
seen
a
the
squirrel.
2 tick squirrels?
There's two tick
There's
squirrels.
2
You get
tick
two
squirrels.
So they didn't get but one squirrel, but they got two.
Well, they got one squirrel. It's just in
Yeah.
many places.
Yeah.
I know someone with a squirrel nut.
Ben's
in
trying to say
profile.
something sensible.
So I was
They
going
make
to
me
say
do it,
the sets as they break down, as you can sort of see them on the Kickstarter, you've got Bleakwood Hall, which is a little bit of that manor house feel that we were talking about. So if you're doing some spooky mystery style stuff, you've got that there. There's Candle Heights, which is a little bit more of an American backwater town.
I love
village
this.
set
Look
that
at
they're
that.
doing,
Ooh, that's nice.
which is very cool.
You get a free
There's
video
also-
game now.
It's a Dead Zone
Yeah.
one as well.
There's also Bellevue
Starfighter.
Square, which is a little bit more of like a forgotten hospital facility with
Yeah.
a horror twist to it. So if you
Yeah.
want to go and check that out, that's there
Crystal
too.
Peaks.
Yeah, I really like the campsite stuff. For
you?
Walking
And
Dead,
then-
that's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And then the final set that they announced this week was the Mornville Ruins. This was the one that's very much tied into the historical side of things, and Bolt Action and actually teamed up with Warlorders to try and just decide on what they wanted to use in that set. So this is very much for those people that want to play through a blasted European landscape, for example, going through the ruins there and things as well. So, and of course, they've also been adding on stretch goals, as we've been saying, and it's a neat way to sort of put together a whole bunch of different terrain for you to use on the tabletop. If you've got all the basic stuff down, like trees and that kind of thing, this then starts to add a little bit more set dressing to the mix, which is cool. So,
And one of the nice things they did as of, I'm not giving work out the miles. Yesterday, my time, many days ago, your time, they've changed it so you don't just have to order a crate. Because obviously a crate is, they've got the 4 different crates, so the crate contains multiple parts. They've said you can do a pick and mix. So if you like the Papers, Please from the last section, but you want the ruined furniture for your bombed out house from another section, and then you want the trees from the garden, so you can actually pick the 4 pieces that will go into your bespoke little mini crate.
It's really weird. It's like pick your own birthday present.
Yeah,
I know.
which is great,
But
because
you
there
pay
are parts
for
that
it.
people will go, well,
That's
I
weird.
don't need the
I always
mausoleum
like paying
parts,
for my birthday present.
but I want the other bits.
Because then I
Say
get the
you're
ones I want.
playing a Cthulhu-esque role-playing.
Oh,
you don't necessarily want
Yes.
all of the World
Yeah.
War II stuff.
No, but
Yeah.
I tell
You
you
need a
what,
bit
can
of
you
it.
go to the damaged cottage stuff? Is there a damaged?
Was that the cozy cottage?
The Crumbling Cottage. There you
Look
go.
at that! That's so awesome. If you
That's
wanted
really
to
nice.
have barricade yourself in for any kind of a
Yeah.
Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Good shout.
Go to hassle free, pick up your Ash.
Yeah. How do they snip him?
Stat him up for The Walking Dead and just get right in there.
Yeah.
See, up here for thinking, down there for dancing.
I know what we're doing next time I'm over.
Yeah.
The dancing.
I'd just like a little bit of thinking
we are
from
planning
both
to
of
go
you,
for drinks
actually.
at some point while you're over. Yeah. Honestly, I love what the guys at Mantic do for Terrain Create because this is the stuff. This is something I talk about a lot. It's the incidental stuff on a gaming table. It does nothing for your game, but make the world look lived in.
Well, that's how 4Ground really came about. Was
Exactly.
the fact of making it look more realistic. I mean, I think what I love about Ronnie's attitude towards gaming is if it's what he likes, he'll do it. And I think that really comes through in everything that they do.
Yeah.
And he's kind of bit Warren-y in the fact that more is more for Ronnie.
Yes.
More is more. It's more is more. I mean, like, I want more of this, so there's more of this.
Yeah, but you've got to agree with him anyway. Lovely stuff.
And what's our last one, Ben?
So the last one is from the guys at Shield Wolf Miniatures, and they're on Kickstarter looking for funding for their new Goblin multi-part plastic set. So they've been doing some work in the past on a whole bunch of other things. You will have seen they've done some Shield Maiden stuff in the past that Justin used for his Fabled Realms warband, which is pretty cool.
Daughters of Gaia.
Yeah,
And they've also
I
done-
love their work.
Yeah, they've also done orcs and barbarians and all kinds of things like that. But they're now focusing on working on the goblins. So this is a goblin set that comes with around 25 miniatures in the set. You get 5 different styles of bodies to use. You've got hand weapons, bows, spears, and a whole bunch of other bits and pieces in there if you wanted to try and make some slightly more command-style figures for your armies. So if you're playing something like Ninth Age or something and getting stuck into that, or Warlords of Erewhon, for example, you've got some really cool options here for those people that want to try and play those games out.
Lovely.
As well as part of the Kickstarter campaign for the multi-part plastics as well, they've also got some options for you to go and pick up some of the existing stuff they've been working on. So some of their old plastic kits and also some of their beasts and monsters. Like, for example, they've got these things called the War Toads, which I think are absolutely awesome. So you know how goblins mostly ride around on squigs? These guys are riding around on massive, huge toads, which I thought was really awesome and really cool sort of direction to go down. So, if you like your goblins, you've got some choices there as well.
Lovely.
They also kind of remind me of the Killer Tomatoes.
Yeah.
They do a little bit.
The Killer Tomatoes. Oh, I used to love that cartoon.
Yeah, so you can pick up the old bits as well.
Yeah, lovely.
That's nice. Oh, that mammoth. Yes. So much nice stuff from those guys. Now, Kat, quick question.
Yes.
There are goblins in Fabled Realms.
Yes.
So this could be a perfect set if you want to do a nice big warband of them.
No, if you want to do a warband of goblins, it could also be good for games with ranks and flanks.
Yes.
So,
Naughty boy.
But yeah, they could definitely be used for Fabled Realms. There are lots of forest goblins in Fabled Realms.
Yeah.
It's keeping the forest goblins out of it that was the problem.
We also, of course, have civilized goblins as well within the ranks of other factions.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, everybody, I think we will close it out for the day. We will be back tomorrow morning, bright and early, for the Weekender XLBS. You will be joined by myself, by Ben, by Jerry, by Ben, and by Cad. And goodbye to everybody else. Do not forget.
So if you think this was rambly,
oh yeah, that's where you're off the chain. But
why are you looking at me?
Let me finish my show!
no finishing, no surrender.
Okay, everybody, if you want to be in with a chance of winning one of those 2 copies of Armies and Legions and Hordes, make sure you have liked, commented, and subscribed on the Beasts of War on YouTube. We will see you bright and early tomorrow morning on beastsofwar.com for the Weekender XLBS. Do not forget, if you are not a backstager, you will not be fit to view, but we do have a 1-week free trial if you want to listen to us ramble some more. We'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now, and be sure to check out beastsofwar.com for the latest gaming news and gaming Let's Plays. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.